All right, Josh. So we're gonna talk a little bit about your running stories, things that got you into running, and why you thought about running in sandals. And so, I guess one of the first questions we could ask is, what got you into running?
Well, running in general was not some. When I think of running, I typically think of running distance like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles, going out for a run. And my definition of running is like the middle pace. It's between walking and sprinting. So that kind of that medium speed is what I think of in running. And running at a medium speed for distance was not something I ever really was interested in. Growing up, I played a lot of sports, soccer and baseball and football, and I loved to sprint. I didn't mind hiking, things like that, but running for distance was not something I was into. And I would do it on occasion. I was all right at it. But again, nothing I really loved to do. I would run with my wife when we were dating. She used to like running, and so I'd go on dates with her. We'd go running. But other than that, it wasn't really something that I liked to do. It wasn't until I was about 30 years old, and I was probably getting to the point where I was probably like 20 pounds overweight, just kind of like growing into my 30s, like a lot of people. You're just kind of adding a little bit more weight, and I still played softball, and I was working construction and stuff like that, just living life. And I remember being out at the softball field one night, and this guy was wearing these Vibram Five Fingers, these toe shoes, and but he was playing center field in them. I thought he was wearing booties because we're in Santa Cruz, and I just thought it was really weird. Like, what's this guy doing? And when I investigated it, I found out it was the toe shoes, and the reason he was wearing those was because of the free range of motion and like natural movement. And that made a lot of sense to me right off the bat. And I thought to myself, well, maybe running is something I want to take another look at. And I tried running barefoot in all kinds of random stuff, and it felt really good. It felt different. It wasn't perfect, but I knew there was something really good, something special there. And so I gave it a shot. For about 5 or 6 months, I was running in the Vibram Five Fingers Merrill trail gloves. Were pretty new then too. I was running in those, but it got to be summertime, and I was running a lot, more than I'd ever run in my whole life. Like, it just kind of became this passion of mine. And it became summertime, and I saw this company out there making these sandals, and I tried some of them, and I loved them. And I found myself in the course of my regular running gravitating towards the sandals. At first I thought, this is crazy. Like, I'm five miles out on a run in the woods, and like, is this safe? Is this something I could even do? Is this reasonable to just have this like thin sandal strapped onto my foot and be out there running? And it was like, yeah, actually this is great. I'm not getting hurt. My feet get a little dirty, but I love the barefoot feeling. I love my feet out in the open, and I was just enjoying it so much. And that was like for the first summer after I got into the whole minimalist thing. So I was knocking down, 20 to 30 miles in a week. And just every opportunity I got, I was running, because once I took the shoes off and kind of learned how to run properly, I could breathe well. I wasn't struggling with my breathing. It was just a matter of like the physical endurance, and I could do that. And as long as I wasn't struggling to breathe, I really enjoyed it. So for about 12 years now, I've been running quite a bit.
And with that, what would you say some of the benefits are of running in sandals?
Well, I think over other minimalist footwear, I think the biggest benefit of the sandal is the articulation of the foot, the toes, having them splay. Even with some of the other equipment out there, like, I'm not trying to trash anybody, but the ones that look like a glove for your feet, we'll say, or some of the other minimalist shoes, they can kind of restrict the movement of your feet, the splaying of your toes. If you've got a toe box that isn't quite big enough, your toes aren't going to splay properly. And I find that in the sandals, my feet really just kind of stretch out and feel really relaxed and comfortable. The other thing I would say that's probably pretty important is just the fact that your feet aren't like trapped in a glove, essentially, in a sock, in a whatever. Your feet are just completely free, and they can breathe. I don't know about anyone else, but you know, I did a lot of years of construction, and when I'd have to wear gloves all day doing demolition work or this or that, you know, my hands would be just, you know, all moist or slimy or whatever. There's no air in the gloves, and it's like, it felt good to take the gloves off, and like, I'd much rather work without gloves. It's the same thing for your feet. You know, they're meant to be free and take in the sun and get some air. So that's another huge benefit, and that's a reduction in heat too, I would say. But just the overall enjoyment of running with your feet, you know, uncovered it's huge. It's worth a lot.
And then one more thing, I think a lot of people would ask about arch support and running in sandals that don't have that arch support. So I was wondering if you could speak a little bit on that function.
Okay, the arch support. Yeah, that's a big question people have about the arch. Well, most people don't even know what the arch is for. The arch is a structure of muscles and tendons and ligaments. It also includes the bones there. You know, they're all working together. And the arch is really simple. It's just it's a spring on the inside of your foot, and it's meant to compress with each step. Well, so you want to think about that for a second. Well, if it compresses, a spring compresses, it loads energy. Once you have that energy, now it's got potential, it could be used. And so where does that energy go? Well, it's going to compress, and it's going to come up out when you step, and it's going to go out the big toe. The big toe is the only one toe that's strong enough structurally to deal with the force of driving off with each step. So the arch plays a really important role in our movement, in our walking and running. And so if you have arch support, you're basically like cutting that that critical piece out, and you're losing the advantage of a spring compressing, loading energy, and releasing it with each step. So the great thing about the sandals, one of the things I love, is that there's no arch support. Your body's spring can work properly, and it's only going to grow stronger and more resilient, and make your running more comfortable, and your walking too.
And then I was wondering if there's any last comments you'd like to make, or any last thing you'd want to share about running in sandals, Shamma sandals.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess the big thing I want to say is I have been doing this for about 12 years now, and there were a lot of mistakes I made when I started out. I didn't totally know what I was doing. A lot of people thought kind of early on you just take your shoes off, or you start running in the different minimalist footwear, and then like all your problems are gone, they're going to be solved, and there's no more issues. That's not really the case. There's a lot of factors that contribute to whether you're going to run pain-free, injury-free. And again, one of the reasons I got into this when I was in my early 30s, I was definitely heavier. And I just didn't really plan on being somebody that ran much. But then all of a sudden, like, oh, this feels good. And it felt good because it actually is good for you. It works. There's a huge hurdle that we have, which is how well we're trained. How much training, meaning like, you know, how many reps could I do on a bench press, or how many push-ups could I do before I'm fatigued? Well, usually when you start out, like your arch isn't very strong, and a lot of the muscles in your legs aren't really developed to deal with more articulation and all that kind of stuff. And so maybe you really only can do about 5 push-ups, so to speak. And then you're like, this feels great, I'm gonna go do 20 push-ups, but you're really not strong enough to. And so people injure themselves that way. The key really is training and developing and building up the muscles, building up the technique. So that's a lot of it. And I have to say that, you know, I've had to work through different pains and inflammations and technique issues over the years, but I can honestly say I've been averaging for the last number of years about 20 miles a week running. It's something I enjoy, and I am more well conditioned, and I have less pain, and I think my technique is better than it's ever been, and I feel like I'm really enjoying it more than I did, you know, 5 or 6 years ago. And if you would have asked me, well, Josh, if you run 1,000 miles a year for the next 12 years, if you'd asked me that, you know, 12 years ago before I started all this, you know, what kind of shape I would be in, I would say, wow, I'd probably be broken down. I wouldn't want to move, and I'd be in terrible pain. And it's actually the opposite. I feel so much better, and I'm so much more confident about how far I can run, and the future for me in running feels very bright. I really look forward to doing this for years to come. But it's that it didn't just happen. It took time and training, and there's a lot of good help out there, and training methodologies, and people that have great advice on this. You can check out our how to run in sandals videos too. Those are really helpful. But it works. It just takes time, it takes perseverance. There's no shortcuts. It's just you know, effort and work and all those things that are required whenever we want to do something that's maybe a little bit difficult, but worth it in the end. So that's where I'm at. I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts on running. That's kind of where I'm at right now on my whole running journey in life. My first 12 years as a pretty committed runner. I hope that was helpful, and maybe it inspired you a little bit. If you have any questions, please reach out, throw a comment below, or reach out to contact@shammasandals.com. We'd love to hear from you. All right, happy trails, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel for more weekly content. And make sure to click the bell so that you'll be notified every time we post something new.